Hey everybody, I'm Justin Bohn.
I'm Mike Val.
And this is the Bohn N Zano Zone, where we are always on the lanes, off the charts, and on the mic. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bohn N Zano Zone podcast, presented by BunniesProShop.com. Special episode tonight, going to be streaming to my YouTube channel as well, as we are here with Team Bohn. Well, I'm half of it. The other half is sitting right next to me. As we're recapping the holiday doubles third place finish. Mike, how are we doing tonight?
Good, man. So I guess the first question is, did you ever find out what the format was? Well, you didn't know what it was last week. So
yeah, it was.
I don't even know what the format was.
I did.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
it was. I don't think I knew it before. I mean, before we started our 8 games qualifying, I just knew we were bowling 8 games.
How many teams did they have altogether? They have like, what, 100 teams, 150 teams?
192.
That's insane.
4 full squads of 48 teams with 40 teams on the waiting list.
That's awesome.
It's a very big tournament, that's for sure.
Already sold out for next year.
Was it 4 on a pair? You had 6 on a pair.
4 on a pair.
So the pace was pretty good too then.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, a lot of teams.
And a lot of. Keep in mind, this tournament's been going on for probably 42 or 43 years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's an extensive tournament. So, in my opinion, they built it to be that big, and there's a lot of hard work and dedication that goes on behind the scenes. But when you've got that many years behind it, that tells you it's somewhat substantial.
Was this the first time you ever bowled it or no?
No, I was actually hired to go out there and bowl it about 8 or 10 years ago. I actually bowled with a young lady, Kathy McGarry, and it was really an awesome time. And it was right then and there that I realized the significance of this event and the amount of pros that actually support it and bowl it. Obviously, it's a substantial prize fund.
And Justin, we said that there's a 1-member rule per team, right?
1 PBA champion per team.
National or regardless?
Yes. National title.
Huh. Yeah. That's awesome, though. So this is probably, like we said, the third best doubles tournament in the country. Behind the Lucy?
Behind the Lucy and the Roth Holman. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So break it down here.
So the format, because I now know it.
Yeah.
We bowled 8 games qualifying. There were 4 8-game qualifying squads. Obviously, only bowled one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they cut to top 46 teams. Top 48 got paid. 46 teams came back Saturday night and bowled 5 additional games. Then after 13 games of total pinfall, top 12 teams advanced to Sunday, where we bowled 12 games straight of round-robin match play.
Jesus.
Yeah. Not Baker either. Regular games.
And were you bowling on the China, or do they kind of make them like a little pattern?
So in years past, they normally add volume to the house shot at St. Clair. This year they didn't. They just took the regular house shot. So they were hooking quite a bit from the beginning.
Was it like was the scoring pace like stupid high?
Yeah. One of the guys that we bowled with, bowl qualifying with, bowled 2-0 the first game and had 540 over for his 8 games qualifying.
Was it the guy to your right?
It was a guy on our pair.
On our pair.
Well, no, I'm asking if it was the guy to your right. Was it the guy next to you, Justin?
No. He showed up.
Well, we'll get to him later.
Yeah.
He showed up later on the weekend, I heard.
Yeah. Well, the guy that we bowled with, he bowled like 300, 299, 279, 270, 240.
Oh God.
290 something again. Oh yeah, it was ridiculous. It was
so
dumb.
He found it.
He struck a lot.
And there must have been a ton of side action too in the event.
Oh yeah. You could hit max bet for the team at like, what was it,
$2,920.
Yeah.
That's just the pots, not counting the brackets.
No, that's all of it.
That's everything.
So they run doubles brackets and individual brackets.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you have a good set, you're paying your mortgage for a couple months.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah.
Potentially.
All right. So let's get into it. So your first 8 games, where were you guys after 8 then?
So we were 536 over after 8. He had 330, 340 of it. I had about 200 of it.
Respectable.
Yeah, it wasn't too heavy sided yet. We were close going into the last game. Scores were going to be close because when the scores are that high, they were just that close. We were 536 over in 24th, and 46th was 450.
What was the leader?
693, 695, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think nobody got to 700.
So like roughly 350 a bowler, basically.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that Ogle? Or did he lead the whole way?
No,
I don't think so.
That was not Ogle. It was actually the guys that we bowled with.
Yeah, 540 over and 150. Yeah.
Who'd you cross with? Was it anybody, like any big names that hit the number?
Brandon Mooney and Charlie Brown Jr.
Oh, Charlie Brown bowled on tour, right, Parker?
Yes. Yeah, he's bowled on tour on and off for the last 5-6 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you get into Sunday. Now, Sunday, you're bowling 5.
Saturday
right?
night.
Oh, Saturday night.
So we come back Saturday night and bowl 5 additional games.
Now, was Saturday night the night of the 42 of 50?
Yes.
All right. So what? So why don't you tell everybody what 42 of 50 means?
So we bowled 5 games, 50 frames. Dad struck 42 of them.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Had a good day on the lanes.
Shake it off. Yeah.
So, what were the scores then, Justin?
God, it was like 279, 268, 258, 279, 260 again, probably 250.
So the spare ball didn't really see much play Saturday night.
No,
that's
no,
a good thing.
No,
that is a very
that is a good thing. Yeah.
So he gave you 340.
Yep, 340. I had about 110.
So you got 450 Saturday night.
Yeah, and we went from 24th to 7th, and
Okay.
the cut was 930 for the top 12.
And you were, what were you guys at now?
987 at that point.
The key is, Mike, we're a team.
Exactly.
Individual score, I always want to knock down as many pins as I can. But when I say this from the bottom of my heart, it was great to bowl a tournament with my son, Justin. And regardless of my score, every single game that we bowled, I looked at him and said, as long as we're picking up pins. And as it would unfold, and we'll talk about Sunday in a minute here, but what you need to understand, the most important thing of this event, we bowled 25 games and we only shot under 400 one game.
That's incredible.
We shot 397 one game. That was our lowest game. Every other game we were over 400. And I know the scores are high and everybody's going to say, well, yeah, but look at how much you're striking and this and that. Folks, there were games that I didn't bowl 200. Okay?
Really?
I might have bowled 190. Matter of fact, the very last game of the tournament, I only bowled 186 and hit the pocket every single shot.
Yeah.
But it's just the nature of the beast. But one of us at least, some games both of us, but one of us at least figured out a way to pick up the other one so that every game we were adding pins to our overall score.
One of you found a 6-timer to help each other out every game, basically.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
And I'm just breaking your chops. You know that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know.
yeah. All right. So you get to Sunday. So now Sunday you're bowling 12 games, you said?
Yep. 12 games round robin with the last game being position round.
Okay.
So the first 6, I really didn't show up. I showed up about 2 to 3 of the 6 games. I hopped on the horsey's back and said, "Go horsey." What'd you bowl the first 2? 579 the first 2?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So he carried over from Saturday night to Sunday morning.
Yes, he kept going.
He Energizer bunnied the pairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're still a team though.
Exactly. We actually beat the teams that finished first and second in the first 6 games.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 games I showed up. So that was beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly was, especially when we needed, I believe one of the teams shot 510 at us.
Yeah.
So you can see right then and there, one person is not going to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I sincerely needed his help, and he did show up and bowled that game.
Yeah.
That earns you a Christmas gift this year, Justin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait a minute now. Okay.
So how about this one? Of the 12, you said 12 teams made to Sunday, right?
Yeah.
How many of the 12 minus yourself had a national guy on the team? Was it predominantly like national guys, or was it more local guys that were
National guy or national champion?
Either or. How's
Okay.
that?
So the team finished first: Matt Ogle, Mike Dole.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ogle, national champion. Kyle Sherman, Nick Pate. Kyle's got a national title.
Mm-hmm.
The team that finished third, or the team that finished fourth, I don't think neither one of them had a national title. One of them had led junior gold. I did hear that. The
Okay.
team that finished fifth, Nate Subler and Cam Crow. Neither one of them national national champions. But
Camp Cronin was pretty good.
Yeah, and so is Nate. I mean, they're pretty big names in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who finished sixth.
So there was a bunch of like superstars in the final 12.
Yeah, Ray Lucier, PJ Haggerty were in the final. I'm trying to think. Brandon Curtis, lefty, I think from out of one of the Carolinas. He was on one of the teams. Oh, you guys got it right here. Perfect. I think that's it for PBA champions. Oh, and then six, Michael Holloman and AJ Rice.
There you go. AJ Rice strikes a ton.
Yeah, that's no team to mess around with when it comes to a lot of money in the side action.
No, he can. AJ strikes a ton.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to it. So there was your first two games. You bowled 579. You hopped on the horse. He's back, as you said.
Sure did. And
how did the rest of the day unfold?
So after 6 games, we really hadn't moved up or down in the standings. We were still 7th, I believe. And then that was really when we made our big push, was the last 6 games, when the front started to, the lane just started to hook in general. And Dad could still throw it hard. We all know that's what he likes to do. And I can throw it hard and get it to go through it the right way. I was actually throwing a Rhino almost the whole tournament.
Okay.
Which, I mean, is the entry-level ball.
It's the lowest end of the lowest end.
Exactly. That was when we kind of put our heads together and really struck a bunch. I mean, it was 480, 500, 510, a bunch of games in a row. And then we hit the last pair. We bowled game 11. And I think if we didn't bowl on that pair the last game, it probably would have turned out a little bit differently, and we probably would have been bowling for the title.
So you gave yourself a chance to win, basically, you're saying?
With 2 games to go, we had an opportunity, yeah.
Nice.
The last pair was over-under on the left, and it took me 6 frames to get lined up. I had 86 in the 6th and bowled 206.
Good bail.
Yeah, good bail, right?
Huge bail, especially for the fact that at that moment in time, we were in 3rd place.
Yeah, we were.
That was the first time the entire event we got up to 3rd. And, you don't want to perform 160 at that moment in time.
No.
Not when you work that hard to get there. So the fact that he bailed out 2-0 and I don't know what I bowled that game, maybe 210.
210, yeah.
So we picked up some pins. Unfortunately, we lost the game. But the great thing about it was we were still within striking distance of potentially getting to 3rd with an real outside chance of still walking away victorious if you bowl some stellar game the last game.
550, 570. We could have got there. But as it drew the last game, we actually bowled in the same pair we bowled game 11 on, which wasn't really what we had wanted.
No.
We said we hope we got enough to go down to 5th and hit, because we had bowled 570 or 580 not that long ago before on that pair.
You wanted to take the drop in the standing just to get off the pair, knowing you could have knowing you had a 540 look in you guys.
Yeah. So Cam Crow, Nate Subler went around us to get to 3rd, both left-handed. So 3 lefties are on the final pair, and the left is over-under on this pair.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice gift for you guys.
So in the 6th frame, I remember Cam goes high. His ball hooks at about 20 feet. And Nate's ball goes light, and he shoots like a bucket combo and misses the spare because it didn't get there. Keep in mind, Dad doesn't have a double. I've got triple, open, double. The 2 teams that are in 5th and 6th, their leadoff bowler is bowling about 210 or 220, and their anchor bowler has the front 6.
Yeah, that wasn't helping us a whole lot.
No, not at all.
No, they were still 60 behind us. But at that time, we were 50 out of 3rd. So we needed to win the game and beat Nate and Cam by about 20 to get to 3rd, and then stay within 60 of the 2 teams behind us. And while they were bowling 480 or 490 at that point.
And the other thing, Mike, they were only 1 pin difference. So they're 60 behind us. But when I say 60, the team in 6th is 61 behind us.
Yeah.
So when you look over the scoreboard real quick, you know there's no more games. Games are done. This is it. It's the last straw. And as things would go, you're looking at your score after 6 frames going, needless to say, we are on the very short end of the stick here. So fortunately, things turned around for us enough to where we could come out victorious that last game.
Interesting.
Yeah. So fortunately it was good enough on the right. I was able to get 240 out, and save the game like we're talking about with the team. When he didn't have it, I was able to step on it and take advantage of the pair that was on the right, because I mean Nate and Cam bowled 2-0 and Nate bowled 180. I mean, when you're talking about a team like that, that wasn't what you want. Wasn't what you want to see, especially when, I mean, they had a chance to win the tournament too.
Yeah.
They were 50 pins closer than we were.
So Ogle won the tournament. Who was the runner-up?
Kyle Sherman, Nick Pate.
Okay.
They bowled outstanding. They qualified 12th. I believe they were the last team to get into the cut.
Yeah.
And they really were not in contention most of the day. And then all of a sudden, I believe games 10 and 11, out of nowhere, they bowled 500 and another game above 500. And the next thing you know, you look, they're in second place.
Yeah, they were like 5th or 6th with like 3 to go.
Yeah.
And I know Kyle bowled 300, and then I think bowled 279. So he had 579 for 2. And then Nick had some pretty good games as well, and they jumped around all of us. Yeah.
So I guess what was it for first? If you don't mind me asking, do we know what the prize fund was?
Yeah.
What did they get for first?
$10,000 for the team.
That's not bad at all. That's really good.
Yeah, for $400 entry fee for the team.
Exactly.
It was 400 to bowl.
Yeah.
400 per team, you said.
Per team. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's a
great
great return.
I mean, you're talking about almost 200 teams.
And you said they cashed 48.
They cashed 48, so 1 and 4.
That's really good.
Yeah.
They need more events like that.
Yeah, it is the biggest amateur doubles event in the country. And I think it has been for a long time.
So are you guys registered for the 2022 Holiday Doubles Tournament?
I have a spot, yes.
Partner TBD?
Yes. Partner currently is Parker Bohn.
He might trade me in.
I mean,
well, isn't the rumor that there's another Bohn coming into the adult ranks next year?
There is another lefty in this household that does have an opportunity to bowl if he would like. Yes.
So here's a question for you. And Justin, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Notoriously, they always said the left was really good in this tournament.
Yeah.
Parker, is that the truth? Was the left a little more friendly than the right was? Or were they pretty equal?
They're pretty equal for the most part. But what makes the left more conducive is the fact that they're fairly easy out of the gate. Okay. And when I say fairly easy, it wasn't like they were just super chommy for everybody out of the gate. You actually watched a lot of players in the beginning that would get their ball in on a typical house shot, and that ball's going to hold line to the pocket. You got your ball in on this, and it would go high. But once the pattern stretched out a little bit, then all of a sudden the scores started to get a little higher come games 2 through about 5, 6 maybe. And then the pairs on the right were the pairs that were going to turn into, okay, survival of the fittest, hold on for 400 or 420. And, some of those pairs, let's face it, on the left, were still going to be conducive. If you had 2 left-handers, 500 wasn't out of the question.
Yeah. I mean, there were teams on the right that bowled, 350 in match play for 2.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So probably the biggest thing, Mike, and I have to say this, knocking Justin, but at the same time praising Justin. And it would be along those lines of most other younger teenagers that are going to bowl this tournament. Most of your kids' tournaments are 5-game sprints. Okay. Even junior gold's a 4-game block. You're out of it. And then you come back the next day and you do another 4-game sprint. But then when you make match play, it's 3 games of match play, and then it turns into a step ladder finals. In junior gold, it's a 2-game elimination match or a loser's bracket, and then you go on to a next match. And once you lose twice, you're out. Well, for Justin, when we were bowling, there were 3 or 4 times that he'd be a little bit down and out because he's thinking, well, everything is going the wrong way, and I don't know what to do right now. And I'd have to look at him and say, dude, we got a long way to go right now. You cannot pack it in, especially on Sunday when he was down and out come game 5 or game 6. And I don't know, one of those games there, he was struggling. And I looked at him and said, we are only halfway done with match play today. regardless of where we're at right now, we still have 6 more games of match play to go. So come on, get your head focused right and give me everything you got, because if you're giving me 100% every single time and you're my doubles partner, I looked right at him and said, I don't care if you bowl 112. If you give me everything you got, that's all I can ask for.
That's all you want in a partner.
Yeah. Yep. And fortunately, I'll say to his defense, fortunately, he turned it around and actually got some score to show up for it. And the next thing you know, we're slowly moving back up the board. And like I said, we got up to third. Third was our highest spot. We slipped down to fourth going into the last game. And fortunately, we won the last game and got back up to third. And I'm ecstatic with where we finished.
Yeah, because 5th place was 15 behind us.
So it was all nail biting going to the last game.
Yeah, because I mean, first and second was a 10-pin match, basically with the 30 bonus pins. Mike and Matt were only 30. We're 37 ahead of Kyle and Nick, and with the 30 pins, I mean, you're talking a 10-pin game. So it was basically whoever won that match, right? And then we were 20 or 30 out of third. And then the teams behind us, we all know in match play, if you put up a big number in the last game with 30 bonus pins, you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're only 60 behind us. And it came out a lot closer than it was.
And the couple of shots that I saw that you posted on your vlog, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
You were in your comfort zone, it looked like.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, as long as he stayed behind the foul line and knocked them all over in the first shot, he was really in his comfort zone.
What happened, Justin? You can't go over. You went over the line a couple times.
I got new shoes last week, and they don't stay behind the line.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The toe must be reaching out of the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then okay, so you fouled a couple times, but it did look like you were in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I was able to throw it hard, and kind of. I talked about this, or I've been talking about it with a couple of people when I bowled a couple of weeks ago at Morrisville, and bowling out at North Rock, bowling league in North Rock. My move after 2 games is move 5 right and throw it harder. So I've really learned how to do that and continue to score on the house shot where they get super over under. Well, now as we're bowling this event, and I did it the same thing at Morrisville a couple of weeks ago. That was the move: is just throw it hard and get around it just a little bit. So when you're throwing it that hard, it doesn't shoot right through it, but it's hard enough that it gets through the fronts. And I've learned how to do it in league, and it's been very beneficial in the events that I've bowled recently.
So I'm going to ask Dad this question: what makes this event so good? Like, what draws 200 teams to St. Louis every year in December? Like, why are there not more of these around the country?
I think the fact that there's no gimmicks, everybody knows it's a house shot. You better bring your striking shoes, and then find whatever partner you want to bowl with. Everybody has an opportunity. I mean, there were some pretty good bowlers there, Mike, that did not average 220.
Really?
And I mean that bluntly. And we all know, because a lot of us may sub in a league, or a lot of us may bowl in a league at home. And it doesn't mean that you pencil in 700 plus every single week. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. So some of those bowlers didn't average 200. Matter of fact, there were probably a couple of bowlers that barely averaged over 215 that you would look at and go, are you kidding me? How did they not average 240?
I mean, yeah, there were guys like Chris Prather was there, Andrew Anderson was there, Matt Russo was there. Guys didn't make the first cut.
Right. And some of that, to their defense, could be because of the friction that was on the lane.
Right.
Okay. But we all know that in a house shot, there is friction outside of your target with a fair amount of hold inside of your target. Mm-hmm. And the hold had to be created over a game or two period of time, or it had to be created by the ball that you would be using. If you were going to use some powerful stuff, chances are you weren't going to be able to create the hold that you would have typically on certain house shots. Mm-hmm. Because we all know that there are tighter house patterns. And this one just in particular happened to be one that hooked. So, the biggest thing out of it is everybody knows coming in that you're going to have well play or an even play chance to get to the pocket. Now just figure out how to knock them over. And even if you go out there and struggle a game or two for 180, you're probably going to feel pretty good about yourself if you back it up at some point with 240 or 250.
Yeah.
So everybody has that chance. And I think that that's what really makes the tournament. He knows that it's pretty much duck season for everybody, and pick your favorite gun and go for it.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, what makes it such a big draw, and I think this is such a debate in the bowling industry as a whole, bowling on patterns, bowling on one-to-one, bowling on the hard stuff, bowling on the house, like which are you going to bowl on? Well, I mean, there are guys that will only bowl on the one-to-one, and there are guys that will only bowl on the house. And at an event like this, anybody has a chance against anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're bowling against guys like Chris Prather, Andrew Anderson, Matt Russo, PBA champion Matt Ogle, Kyle Sherman. Like it doesn't matter to them because they're on a house shot where they know at home if they average 220 or 230 and they get a couple of good games, they're in the number. So, I mean, like Liz Johnson was there.
Yeah, she bowled with Adam Barter, right?
Yeah, they were the first team that missed the number for the top 12. I mean, so we're talking about guys that you wouldn't think would normally have a chance on the one-to-one when they're super hard. Put them on a house shot makes it a lot more interesting.
PJ Haggerty flew in from California to come and bowl this event.
Yeah, you mentioned his name.
He was in the top 12 there. So when it's all said and done, I'm going to tell you right now, you have probably out of 192 teams, I'm going to say that 1/4 to 1/3 of that field, there are very strong contingents that are out there to play. You have another third that are probably at any given moment, they can go out there, and if they get lined up, they're gonna definitely do their damage. And then you have the other third out there that are sincerely there to bowl the tournament. If they match up well, both players, they can certainly figure out how to get to the pay window, because it's not a matter of tricking the lanes or looking for that right ball layout. It's just a matter of getting lined up and making a couple good passes to carry. And so everybody at the end of the tournament, in my opinion, has a chance.
Yeah.
Was this more like, were there more, I think, celebrity guys there, or were there like a lot of local guys where you never really heard of them either? Or, you know what I mean? Like, did they cater it more to the higher player, like the higher caliber bowler?
I think it was both, to be honest.
Correct.
I mean, we just got a comment in the chat. 43 states were represented in this field.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
That's a lot. That's a lot of states when you're talking about just an event on the weekend in St. Louis.
Well, Justin, we always said it too. If the money's there, the bowlers will go anywhere,
right,
for the money.
Exactly. And I mean,
the other thing, Mike, nobody's demoralized. A lot of guys that have inflated averages, guys or ladies, okay, because there are a fair amount both across the board. People don't want to put up their money to go out there and average 40 pins a game less than what they do in league. So now they can have an off day, but yet they're still going to hit their average a couple of times. Maybe on an overall basis, it's not good enough to make the cut, but they're not going home with their head stuck in the sand.
It's not like they bowl in the U.S. Open where they're 600 under.
Correct. At that moment in time. Exactly. So everybody's got a chance. And when you look at the formulation of the tournament, the way that it's all from start to finish, it's a very thorough event.
Yeah.
Run very, very well.
And back to what he was saying about not feeling demoralized after bowling. I mean, I had 300 over for my 13 games on Saturday. I felt like it wasn't a lot, but at the same time, I didn't feel horrendous about my bowling. I was like, I still struck a decent amount today, showed up, bowled some big games, showed up when I needed to, didn't really have any horrendous games, and still struck a decent amount, and now we're bowling the finals. Again, riding the horse's back, but
doesn't matter. You did what you did. You did what you had to do.
Right. I still didn't walk away like, oh my God, like I bowled horrendous today. Right.
He held his end.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for in a partner.
Exactly. You know what, Mike, it could have been very easy the other way around. He could average 250, and maybe I struggled. And when I say struggled, maybe I only averaged 215 or 220. I don't care who posts the number.
Yeah.
You're bowling as a team. And when I say that, we know that this was doubles, but how many times do you bowl league at home, or you bowl a 4-man team, or even a triples, and somebody really rewards the team by bowling great? the other 2 players or the other 3 or 4 players on that team have to show up. One guy doesn't win it all.
And we see when we bowl together in the States every year, we always have that one guy to wax them or whatnot, but it's a 5-person event where we all just feed off of each other and we all contribute to the overall number.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, this sounds like an event that I would love to take the trip out to go participate in. It sounds like it's a really good event to bowl.
Well, I'll tell you this: get on the wait list for next year.
Yeah. I would get. I'm going to tell you right now, and even for anybody that's listening in, Mike, you would be much better off reaching out to the tournament director, Jerry Anderson. He sets it all up. He formulates it all. But you should reach out now, put a deposit, or try to put a deposit so that you can get on the waiting list. We had some conversation. There is a small chance that maybe he would open up another squad. I don't want to speak for him, but if he's got that many teams on a waiting list, I would think at the end of the day, he might at least consider it, because right now his first four squads he's got are already sold out.
That's incredible, though. That is awesome.
So
they said in the meeting before we bowled the squad, 95 of the 96 people in the building or on the squad had prepaid for next year.
That's awesome.
And we were the one team that didn't, because I didn't know about it.
Yeah. So I had to wake him up again.
No, I was awake at that time.
So do you think this would work like in other regions of the country, or do you think this is just because of the location, that's what draws it so well?
I think it can work in other areas.
So.
You don't want to, if you put it in too many places and it becomes a weekly affair, then it's going to, let me say, tarnish it to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have something like this significance here, it's in the centrally located, easy to get to. You fly into St. Louis, the bowling center is probably all of 40 minutes away from the airport. Okay. More than likely your partner is going to drive in if he lives within 5 or 10 hours of the place, and then he can pick you up at the airport, or let's just say both of you fly in at that point. But it's not a matter of the big trick. You're bowling on a house shot. So bring 5 or 6 of your best bowling balls and 1 spare ball. Well, maybe you don't even need your spare ball because you feel like you're just going to strike a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just go with it. But do I think it can be formulated in, let me say, the Northeast where we are? Oh, absolutely. You find a substantially sized bowling center, maybe not the first year. You don't need the giant center because you're trying to get it underway. But then you could also have it somewhere, I would say, top of my head, out in Vegas, because you want to have it in a destination area so that you have a draw for players to do something else. Do I see it working, let's say, up in the Northwest? Possibly. They have a lot of bowlers up there, but I don't see a lot of people traveling from the southeastern part of the United States to Seattle, Washington at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, places like Dallas, it could work. Chicago, it could work. I think our area, Myrtle Beach, it could work. Orlando, Nashville, Louisville. I mean, Indianapolis, we know is a big bowling place. I think what works about St. Louis is, I mean, you can drive. I mean,
it's not that far from us.
I drove from Wichita. Dad drove from New Jersey, and we met there.
What, about 12 hours from here, Parker? Give or take?
I'm sorry?
What, like 12 hours from where we are, just about?
Yeah. Oh, to drive out there?
Yeah, to drive out there.
14.
Okay, it's still not that bad.
No. And, you just sit there and you look around it, and you can get there pretty easily, whether you want to fly or drive. Yeah. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who shows up and when. And like I said, regardless of what the lanes are like, it going in, it's not a big trick. But we all know you can go out there, and if you get caught up, like some of the teams, some really good teams that I seen got caught up and were stuck in that rut of 400 to 420, 2 or 3 games in, you go, what am I doing here? I mean, the guys at the top are averaging 470, for God's sakes, and we can't get out of our own way for 420. You find out that you're 150, sometimes 200 pins behind the 8 ball, trying to really make up a lot of pins in a short period of time.
I got another one for you here, bud. So where do you, not you, Justin?
Oh yeah. I'll go jump off the bridge real quick.
No, I don't want to do that. So where do you? How about this one? Have a little fun with this one. Where do you rank Justin and in the list of doubles partners you've bowled with through the years?
That's a tough one to say because
Yeah, that's a
most of
good
my
one.
doubles are out on the PBA tour.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, that when you look at our team, I know that maybe I'm equivalent to a lot of the guys out there, and somebody's going to say, well, yeah, because of what you accomplished. Forget what I've accomplished. I'm 58. I'm not 25 or 30. Okay.
This isn't the Parker of the
So
90s anymore.
maybe yeah, not right at the current moment. And it's probably not going to get that way, but I'd like to cross my fingers that something, a miracle could happen. But when I look at that, okay, I can hold my own compared to most of those guys out there.
Mhm.
But looking at Justin, watching the way that he's practiced, watching the way that he's worked on his own craft, watching the way that he continues to get better. And there's a lot to be said for that because he's worked real hard at it. He got out there and put himself in the middle of the thick of the fire. And I know that he knows a lot of the guys. And thankfully so, a lot of those players do give him the respect, not just for being our son, Leslie and Parker's son, but they give him the respect because he's a person. Okay. Yes, he's the newbie on the block, but he's out there and he's bowling with me. So now he could get caught up in a moment where he gets nervous. He might get caught up in a moment where, unfortunately, something bad happens, whether it's a split or a spare or something silly that happens. But you still have to take a step back and dig deep to be willing to throw 4 or 5 or maybe even an 8 or 10 bagger at some point to really try to get back on top. And hats off to Justin for doing that. And I'm not just saying it because he's sitting next to me or he's my son, but as a doubles partner, he more than held his own. And I'll be the first to admit I would bowl with him again.
Now, this was the biggest adult tournament you've bowled so far since you made the change.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of an event to bowl as your first one, too.
Yeah. I mean, bowling an event, first off, bowling a doubles event with Dad for cash. I mean, absolute dream. I've dreamed of bowling something like this. Now put us in a big event, a larger event.
In that environment.
In that environment. Okay, that's even better. Put us in the biggest doubles event in the country, the biggest doubles amateur tournament in the country, and then we bowled that good. Oh my God!
It was basically like bowling a regional without having the regional name on it. I mean, that's kind of what it was.
Yeah, correct.
With the field,
bigger,
right?
Almost bigger than a regional.
Yeah.
I mean, unforgettable is how I would describe it.
And that's what making memories are all about there.
Yep.
So if there's one thing you can take from the weekend, Justin, what is it?
One thing.
One
Wow.
thing.
I rode the horses back a lot. But it was, I mean, being able to say that we bowled an event like this together and then we finished third.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not very often that father-son duos get to bowl in the big leagues against all the kids in other sports, in any sport, let alone our sport.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to do it and bowl as good as we did was just, it was a dream.
You're kind of like the Woods is. So is Tiger playing with his son this weekend in the golf tournament?
Maybe. I don't want to
I think so.
Got a good possibility.
Yeah. Well, awesome job. And a hell of a recap too.
Yeah, it was a blast, an absolute blast.
So you'll give me the name of the guy who runs the event, and I think I'm going to reach out.
Be a good idea.
I mean, for what you're saying and the return and the entry fee and what the prize fund is, it sounds like it's an incredible event to bowl. It is worth it.
Absolutely.
If you go out there and bowl really well, Mike, in qualifying, even if you don't have a partner that, let me say, scores, I'll be the first to admit that we actually lost a little bit in the bracket side of things. But if you hold your own on your singles side and you do what you need to do, you can walk away with money in your pocket for sure. Mm-hmm. We had too many peaks and valleys in qualifying. We didn't have that stellar 3 or 4 game set across the board. I bowled really good the last 4 games that really helped us out. But as a team, we kept holding our own, but we couldn't, let's say bluntly, post that 500 mark for 2 or 3 consecutive games. So we didn't help ourselves as a team, immensely in the bracket side. Individually, one of us would bowl good one game, one of us would bowl good the next game. So we were like yo-yos, we were up and down. But at the end of the tournament, it worked out well for both of us. And
You both went to the pay window. All that matters.
And the biggest thing that I hope that Justin got out of it, when it's all said and done, is to look at the length of the tournament. Don't get caught up in a moment over 1 or 2 shots or over 1 or 2 games. There's too many games in a lot of these bigger events that go for a long period of time. So you really got to open your eyes, especially if you're bowling a PBA tour.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of sprints out there, although there's some of them, now. But there's a lot of tournaments out there that have the 30 to 40/50 game marathon attached to it. And you can't get caught up over, let's say, something unfortunate for a game or two. There's too many more games to pick up for it.
So if it was 25 total games in the span of 48 hours.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. 25 individual. So actually for your team, it's 50 games of bowling.
No bakers at all.
No bakers.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And everything feels good. The knees feel good, Parker? No issues?
Yeah, no, actually, I feel fine that way. Back's a little sore, I don't know why. Maybe shoulder too, but
you had a guy on the back for a long time.
Yeah, but Brandon had me hooked up. He had a chiropractor.
Yeah.
So he had a chiropractor, but I never seen him.
Yeah, not yet.
So I don't know, where he picked this chiropractor from, but maybe the guy's office was closed on Sunday.
So was this has to be a good, I would say stepping stone, but a good practice for team trials. I mean, Grant, put the pattern aside, but the whole competition side of it has to be a great.
Besides the pattern side of it, I think it's more of the mental thing. I mean, I'm 18 years old and I'm bowling against guys that have titles on tour,
mm-hmm.
and competing with them.
That's the biggest thing.
Don't get me wrong; it is a doubles tournament, but it was like they weren't even there. I mean, we all know that you have to focus on your own game when you're bowling, whoever you're bowling. It doesn't matter what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we beat Mike Dole, Matt Ogle in match play, and we beat Nick Pate and Kyle Sherman. I mean, that's pretty good.
You've said enough right there.
Right. I mean, and it's the mental practice. I mean, and like what he said, don't let 1 or 2 games get to you when you're bowling 25 of them. You can't.
You know what's funny, Parker? He has changed so much from like 3, 4, 5 years ago with the mental side of the game. I can remember one time in particular, we were bowling in Limerick, Pennsylvania. Remember this one, Justin?
Yeah.
I gave you close to 10-20 for 4. And Justin went about even, or maybe even under for the 4.
Yep.
And he was looking to find the first bus out on the road to kiss.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's not like that anymore. You know what I mean? You have come so far on the mental side of it. It is shown all the practices. It is showing even on the mental side of it.
Well, and it's growing up too.
Yeah.
There's no question there. Hey, Mike, I have bowled with a lot of different people through the years, and some guys, they come out on tour, they're pretty mature for their age, 18, 19, 20 years old. And there are some guys that bowl out on tour for 30 years and eventually go to the senior tour, and you look at him and go, this guy still hasn't grown up. He hasn't hit that stage in life yet. So it's part of life, but hopefully not just him. And then right behind him is his brother, and Brandon was there. And, I'm going to give kudos to Brandon because he cheered us on and rooted us the entire event. He was right there feeling every single shot. Right. So as much as Justin learned a lot on the lanes, I feel that Brandon learned a lot being behind the scenes and really knowing what was going on because of the length and the longevity of the tournament.
Yeah, Brandon's a good ball rep too. He knows the equipment side of the game really well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was your personal ball rep for the weekend, right, Justin?
Oh yeah, it was. He was my caddy.
Yeah, I had to pull him off the wall once or twice. He started, crimping and clawing, looking at some things the way that they were going. And I said, just chill out, come back to earth, be with us.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome. So kudos to the both of you. Nice playing, gentlemen.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
No, I mean that sincerely. And I break Dad's chops, but nice ball in there, sir.
No,
well, thanks.
For 42 out of 50 is not bad.
No, not at all.
I'd say let's just go with very fortunate.
What did you have when you had the scoring record? What was the scoring record again?
22-29.
That's for 8, right?
629 over.
Jesus.
Yep, I used my spare ball 9 times.
I have
Once
nothing
a
more to
game,
say.
and one game he used it twice.
That's bad.
That's the average. Yeah,
That he had a bad pair for that one.
yeah,
Must have been bad rack.
yeah. 5 pin was off spot a couple of times.
So you almost felt like you knew you were striking every shot that day.
It was silly. It was
Yeah.
literally silly. And Mike, the day that I remember the day vividly, I started out with 267 and lost my first game.
Oh God.
Yep. And the gentleman that eventually finished second to me in that tournament, I seen him actually just about 3 years ago. And he says, he goes, I was only 30 pins behind you after game 1 of match play. And I shot 200 over and lost by 500.
and everybody, just so everybody knows, Parker used a low end ball in that event too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Don't sleep on him.
Yep.
Don't sleep on him.
Was a Strike King, right?
Strike King.
That's right.
Hey,
Nice
and I
thing.
used a Rhino this weekend.
So see, people, entry level balls strike just as much as your $200 bowling balls do.
And they're a whole lot cheaper too.
They both get
Nope.
the job done.
Don't
Mike,
sleep
you
on
need
them.
the right ball for the right condition.
Yep.
And if you do, it doesn't matter after that. Just trust. I mean, I trust and believe everything that Brunswick has ever made throughout the years.
Mhm.
I try to get the right ball in my hand. And I know that we have a bunch of other brands out there now too. But as much as we have all the brands in the world, for the most part, at our beck and call, they're all great. But you still have to make sure that you pick the right ball for what you're bowling on.
Parker, is that the biggest number you've bowled in a block ever, whether it was on tour or in a local event, the 2200?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been 500 over, 2 or 3 times for an 8-game block, but nothing even remotely close to that. I mean, I was going to need another big game, if not 2 more big games in some of those other blocks to get to that. That was crazy.
I watched you at I think it was a regional at Howell, senior regional at Howell. You were 400 over, 500 over.
Something like
You
that.
won that one, yeah. And you lapped that one. You beat that number by a ton.
Yeah. So, but it's a matter of being matched up right. You can get matched up, you can get comfortable. Obviously, you can maneuver a little bit around the lanes, but you're not going to bowl numbers like that, moving 10 boards from one pair to the next. Your moves are going to be subtle. And when I say subtle moves, maybe you trip a 6, maybe you go light and collapse the bucket and everything falls. And you really get fortunate at that point. Instead of shooting the bucket, possibly chopping the spare, you collapse everything forward and then you make the next move. And now it turns into be you're lined up immediately.
I just recently watched something on YouTube. It was an old show from the 90s where Duke had broken the scoring record. It was in Peoria.
Oh my God. That year was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was the year he lost. He bowled 280 and lost in the title match.
Yep. I believe 296.
Yeah. And he had said he could have bowled better. Couldn't have scored better, but he could have bowled better and executed better. When you average, 250 for 42 games, is that true? You can actually think you can bowl better?
I believe that. I do. Because it's just a matter of being honest with yourself. You can throw shots that strike. And off your hand if they're really good. If you posted it perfectly at the foul line. If you got it through your target and it shaped exactly the way that you wanted to. And then you throw those shots that you yip a little bit or you miss outside or maybe you catch on the upswing and fortunately they stay there and trip the 4 or trip the 6 if you're left-handed. You just got to be honest with yourself, Mike. So I do believe that it's possible, especially coming from somebody like Norm Duke. He's a perfectionist, and I'm along the same lines. And if you're honest with yourself, you can improve your game.
So that day, could you have bowled better, or is that was it? Like you couldn't have gone any better that day. Like mechanics were good, everything.
Yeah, I don't know if things could have been any better for me that day. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know that I missed in and missed out a little bit here and there. I'm not going to say that I threaded the needle every single shot because I don't believe anybody does. But when I look at the way that certain things unfolded around me, I made a lot of really, really great passes that day. And the ones that were, let me say, subsequent turned out to be, hey, I don't have to shoot another spare. They all fell over. Okay, good. Let's just try to make the next one better.
Awesome.
It's pretty cool. Let me tell you, really cool.
Yeah, well, when you strike every ball and you have a 9-timer every game, it's pretty easy at that point.
Yeah.
It turned out to be that way.
Yeah, that's like the dream there. Everybody wants to have that.
Yeah.
Bones, this was pretty good.
Yep. Totally agree.
Well, will I be seeing you on Monday, Parker?
You will not see me this Monday. I am actually going to go out to Las Vegas
that's right.
and go
You're with
watch
him.
my son bowl in a college tournament out there. He's bowling
right.
for Wichita State. And I'm going to cheer him on sitting in the back and actually relax because I know I'm not the one that's bowling.
You relaxing, it never happens really.
No, it doesn't. But at that moment in time, that's about all I can do. I'm not going to say I won't chew off 1 or 2 fingernails along the way, but
Of course.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No. Well, Justin, will we be live next week, or are we going to pause until after Christmas?
Yes, we will be live next week.
We will recap.
Yes, we can recap my trip to Vegas with the team and have a little bit longer segment of what's up in Wichita.
Yep. And then in the new year, we are going to do the segment that I'm kind of working on. Did you tell Dad about that one?
Yeah, we're doing a regional show. Talking about should there be a Hall of Fame section or a regional section in the Hall of Fame?
Or should guys have their regional accolades count on the resume to the PBA Hall of Fame?
We're doing some research, so before we just jump right into it, we're gonna know our stuff when we talk about this one.
Can I give him one example?
Go ahead.
So Parker, I got the database from the PBA. They were very gracious to give me the all-time regional title holder list.
Mm-hmm.
So I came up with a couple guys, but one in particular. So what's the magic number? 10 to get into the Hall of Fame, right? 10 national titles?
Correct.
All right. Said bowler, see if you can figure out who it is. 8 national titles. 1 major. Shot 300 on TV, a millionaire, 43 regional titles. Would you consider that guy going into the Hall of Fame?
Would I consider him going in the Hall of Fame?
With what he's accomplished in his career?
Yes. Yes.
Steve Jaros.
Yes. Strongly. If he's got 8 national titles, I know that the threshold is 10, that they've put out, or 2 majors. Mm-hmm. But when you look at what he's accomplished, how many years he's been out on tour, he supported the tour. He didn't just walk into 8 titles. He had to show up plenty of times, and I believe that's Hall of Fame noteworthy at that point.
And that's what we're going to get into. We found a lot of those guys who are right around that 7-8 mark, mm-hmm. but they have 30 or 40 regional wins, but they don't look at them for entrance to the Hall of Fame.
Which in a small way is kind of a shame. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that the regionals should get you into the Hall of Fame, not the PBA Hall of Fame, because let's face it, that's the best of the best. Mm-hmm. And you don't want that class to be tarnished. But if a guy is on the cusp and then you look at the fact that he's won 40 regional titles, I kind of think you almost have to lean towards him. He might be 1 or 2 shy of getting there in full merit. But if he's won that many regional titles, let's face it, Mike, I don't have that list. Yeah. But there can't be 20 guys that have earned 40 regional titles around the country through all the years.
No, there's not many. Through the list, Chris Warren is the most at 56.
Okay. So and he's then the most at 56.
Yeah. Sam Zurich was in the 40s. Dale Traber was in the 40s. I'll give you another example really quick. And somebody just asked this one about Guppy. Guppy has 8 national titles. He has 42 regional wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin, who's the one example that we talked about over and over again?
Ryan Schaefer.
That's the guy.
Yeah. Ryan, I don't even know how many regional titles he's got. I know he's got, 5 national?
He has 5 national titles. He has 13 runner-ups in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
300 on TV, Rookie of the Year, blah, 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 34 regional titles. And he's been doing it forever.
Yeah.
And he will win on the 50 tour eventually.
Oh, my God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The thing that's tarnished there is the fact that he doesn't have a major. Mm-hmm. But how about the fact that he bowled for the title 13 times?
That's incredible.
You would think luck would have it that he'd win one of those.
Yeah.
And for whatever the reason, snake bitten every single time, and maybe one or two he threw away. I mean, I've been there, but it's just a point behind it that you would think that something good would have happened somewhere, and unfortunately it didn't. So in a case like this, maybe something can turn around for him.
Well, I'm going to leave that at that, Justin. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm still doing the homework.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have our guests lined up when we do the roundtable discussion with that show.
Yep, we sure do. But I think it's time to wrap this one up, Mike. What do you think?
Yes, folks, it is.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching on my personal YouTube channel, be sure and go hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new video. If you're new to the Bohn N Zano Zone, head over to the Bohn N Zano Zone YouTube channel, Facebook page, or Instagram page. Follow, subscribe, like the page so you never miss an update from the crew. We do a podcast every week, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and you're not going to want to miss what we've got coming up. It's been an absolute blast. Team Bohn wrapping up the holiday doubles live recap. It's been an absolute blast, Dad. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, bud. Good seeing you.
Joining us. And Mike,
anytime.
It's going to wrap this one up. So be sure to head over to buddiesproshop.com. Use coupon code ZONE5OFF to save 5% off your next order. Some manufacturer restrictions may apply. And I'm Justin Bohn, my partner, Mike Val, special guest, Parker Bohn III, where we're always on lanes, off the chart, and on the mic. We'll see you next time.